God is good, and with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. This is the Nathan Napalm channel, and if you are new here, please consider subscribing, especially if you're interested in Pantheon related content, MMORPGs, JRPGs, RPGs, all that kind of thing. That's what we do here. Now today, guys, we are going to be covering the Monk class in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, all the information we have on it so far. Now obviously all the abilities haven't been released, and we're still in pre-alpha 5 at the time of this recording, so things could change, but this is what we know about the Monk so far. And before we begin, I do want to give a big shout out to the members of Napalm. Thank you so much for keeping this channel alive. I couldn't do this without you, and if you're interested in becoming a member, please click the join button down below for more information and a list of perks. Okay guys, let's get started. So the Monk. The way of the Monk is a path of harmony between the body and the soul. Through long-standing discipline, monks have transformed their very being into resilient, living weapons which they are able to wield against their enemies with devastating effect. Their group role is damage. Their combat resource is endurance and chi/chakra gates. Their available armor is cloth and light leather. Their available weapons are martial fists, fist weapons, and hand wraps. The available races that can play Monk at the time of this recording are the Archai, the Dark Mirror, the Humans, and the Scar. Now we're going to run through the abilities for the Monk. Now keep in mind this isn't the full list of abilities, and also keep in mind that some of these abilities could get better over time on your path to max level, etc. So first up, we have the Secret of the Six Gates, which is a passive. When the Monk receives damage that would otherwise have killed the Monk, they will avoid death and will be healed for a percentage of their total health. This cannot occur more than once every minute. So this is very good because this means that instead of dying, they survive. Now, if immediately they're hit again of a devastating would kill and blow, then they really will die. But they get this kind of saving throw, I guess is a good way to put it, where they actually don't die the first time they're killed, as long as it doesn't occur more than one time per 60 seconds. And that's fantastic, especially because the Monk's going to be popping out some pretty massive damage. And we all know from EverQuest, even though they're a damage dealer, it's very possible Monks will be tanking due to some of their abilities that we'll get to in a minute. Now next up, we have Flurry. This is where the Monk unleashes a flurry of successive strikes, dealing physical damage with a high chance of interrupting the enemy's spellcasting. So this is just a bunch of wild, crazy punches that do a lot of damage, and also for that little bit of support, it can interrupt spellcasting. So very awesome, and will give the Monk some strategy when fighting multiple mobs or what have you, to be able to see that this mob is about to cast a spell. Let me go ahead and interrupt that with my flurry attack, that kind of thing. Next up, we have Flickering Flame Kata. The Monk performs a series of precision strikes, putting an enemy into a disoriented state and reducing their hate towards you. Puts the target in a fatigued state, okay? So fatigued, slowing down between their actions that they take, but also disorienting them and reducing their hate towards the Monk. So this is a way the Monk can control the aggro rate that they're getting so that they don't actually get the hate unless they want it. So Flickering Flame Kata is a really good way to manage and mitigate the hate they might be receiving. Next up, we have Union. This is where the Monk perfectly aligns their body and soul, restoring a percentage of their total health over a short time. So a heal over time for the Monk, which is going to come in big time handy. And this is one of those abilities where I see they might be able to, in a pinch, in certain situations, be able to tank for the party if they have to. Is they can heal a little bit. Now it depends on that casting time and all kinds of other variables that I'm not 100% sure of at this time. However, it does kind of feel as if that might be possible. Next up, we have Resonating Palm. This is a powerful blow that deals physical damage and heals the Monk for a percentage of the damage dealt. So once again, now we have an attack that gives a little bit of health back to the Monk. Next up, we have Ebb and Flow. The Monk aligns their movements with the flow of their chi, greatly increasing their dodge and counterattack chance for the duration. So once again, I know the Monk is a damage dealer, but this once again makes me feel like they can also increase their dodge and their counterattack, and which is obviously going to make it easier for them to be able to tank in a pinch. And I know I'd keep bringing that up, but I think it's worth mentioning that I really do believe that the monk can do that if they have to, because this is a party-based game, and a lot of the times in this game, you're not going to be able to find exactly what you would like to have in your party, so you have to make do with what group composition you do have and let that synergize. And I do believe the monk, as we're paying attention here, you can see that they have a little bit more capability than simply doing damage. Next up, we have Feign Death. I think we all know about this. This is where the monk stops breathing and falls to the ground, appearing dead to most creatures. Now, some creatures, I don't know if this is going to be done through probably a disposition where some of them don't. It could be an enemy type, like magic types don't fall for it or something like that. But for the most part, for most creatures, they will think you're dead and you lose all aggro and they'll quit attacking you, which, as we all know, comes in super handy in a ton of situations. Next up, we have Iron Palm. This is a concussive blow that angers an enemy, causing them to focus their attention on you for a short time. So here we actually have a way for the monk to hold aggro if they want to, right? So obviously, there's a little bit of ability here, a little flexibility for the monk to act a lot like they do in EverQuest. Next up, we have Second Sight. This is where the monk is able to sense the flow of chi around them, enabling them to see certain beings that are invisible to the naked eye. So ghost types or things that are in stealth, the monk is, because of the chi and all that kind of thing in their training, they're able to actually see those people where others might not be able to. So very awesome there. Gonna be hard to sneak up on a monk, is what I'm seeing there. Next up, we have Backflip. This is where the monk performs a timely backflip out of harm's way, avoiding all physical attacks for 2 seconds. So it's going to be really big in raid encounters and raid mechanics, etc., or boss mechanics, where basically there's a 2-second while they're doing that backflip where they can't be harmed, right? And it's not from physical attacks, right? So magic would still hurt them, but the backflip is a good way to do that. And I think it's worth mentioning that the word timely, because if you've been paying attention, the warrior has to kind of time their blocks, right? So I do believe this backflip has to be timed properly to be, where you had 2 seconds. So it's one of those things where you had to kind of fill it out. You have to get good with your monk. You have to actually learn it well to know how to time that just right for those 2 seconds when the damage would have happened physically. You can avoid that. And next up, we have Raging Gale Kick. This is where the monk charges up a surge of chi to release a devastating flying kick into a nearby enemy. So pure damage here, where I bet the animation will look really cool too. They do that flying kick into them. Next up, we have Inner Fountain. The monk instantly generates full chi and can finish the cooldown on Gate of Release, which we're about to get to. So basically be able to fill up their chi. And then let's talk a little bit about what Gate of Release is. So this is where the monk burns their chi like fuel, making them immune to all healing and crowd control effects. While Gate of Release is open, the monk's attack speed, physical damage, critical strike chance, and critical damage will be greatly increased. Additionally, they will lose a percentage of their total health every second until the Gate of Release closes. So it's one of those things you would probably want to do when there obviously is a tank in your party and you're doing pure damage, and you can just unleash full attack speed, full physical damage, very high chance for critical strike and critical damage, and just unleash a ton of DPS numbers flying across the screen. Now, this is what we know of the monk so far. Once again, this is not a complete ability list. However, this does give us a very good insight into what the monk is and what it will play like and what kind of roles it can fill. Now, obviously the group role is damage for monk, but I hope that as I read through those, you were able to read between the lines like I can and see that in a pinch, the monk can at least pull off a tanking role in lots of situations, right? I doubt we'll have a monk pulling raid bosses and all that kind of thing, right? I just mean in a regular leveling up party. I do believe they will be able to suffice most of the time, as long as the rest of the group composition makes sense for that, right? Okay, guys, and that is the monk, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think the monk is cool. Never played one in my entire life. However, I always loved having one in the party, and just Feign Death alone makes them so awesome and different, right? And so many capabilities that can save the party in so many ways. But anyway, what do you guys think? Are you planning on playing the monk? Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you for joining me today. Before we end this, I do want to give a big shout out to the members of Napalm. Thank you guys so much for your support. Really appreciate that. And if you're interested in becoming a member, please click the join button down below for more information and a list of perks. And until next time, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Please listen to what I say. I've been making videos all day. It's a video buffet, you can even hit replay. But please just subscribe. I can't even describe being part of my tribe. I'll even offer you a prize, but just please just subscribe and hit the bell notification too.